Don't watch me, watch Nolazine TV. It's the best video ever and subscribe to it.
What's up, everybody? My name is Winston Turner, trombone player with the Brass-A-Holics, and you guys are now tuned in to Nolazine TV.
Okay. So tell everybody where you're from.
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised right here, you know. Just happy to be a person from New Orleans.
Okay. So like the Brass-A-Holics. So how did y'all come up with your name?
Well, a good friend of mine, which is part the trumpet player in the band, he came up with the name the Brass-A-Holics. He said something about some of the high school he went to, man. I ain't never fooled with that high school, like 35. You know what I'm saying? They was doing something over there, and it was something with a Holics in it. And since we were playing brass music since kids, he said, why not call ourselves the Brass-A-Holics? I was like, let me shop that around. Talk to a bunch of different people, and they like, man, that's catchy. I like that name. We took it and ran with it.
So brass.
Yeah. Brass-A-Holics.
So what's your history of just knowing about the brass, brass bands and everything?
Well, being from New Orleans, you know, the culture as a kid has been brass music. Used to go to second lines as a young kid. Then when I actually had an opportunity to pick up a horn, it was in middle school, and actually started marching in parades, which is such a big event right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. That's the first time, that's the first platform that you get to actually perform in front of the world for free. Everybody's encouraging you. You're a young kid, parents, friends, community is out there. And that's the start. The next thing you know, you see a brass band or something like that, and it feeds to the energy that you provide as a horn player. That's the only thing you see right here in the city, in which, like, man, I really like what they're doing. I really got my start from like listening to Rebirth, paying attention to the Dirty Dozen and the Treme Brass Band. And as I began to progress, I just wanted to take it to another level. Okay.
So tell the people, what's the first instrument you picked up?
The first instrument I picked up was a trumpet. During that time, you know, the band teachers were they would sit you down and give you an opportunity to choose all instruments and see what actually spoke to you. I picked up the trumpet, and he told me, you know, okay, pick up that one. Picked up the trombone. I was able to get a sound out of the instrument, and it just came pretty much natural. And he said, that's the one that you should play. So I called my mom, signed a permission slip. We rented the trombone, and from that day forward, I haven't been playing any other instrument.
Oh, that's all you know?
That's all well, you know, a little bit of the keys to make sure that you coordinate your sounds and the chords properly, but the trombone, that's my primary instrument.
Okay. So do you have, do you have any projects coming up?
Man, what's going on now with the COVID thing? Nobody is traveling, and it's very hard to, you know, get that income the way that it was pre-COVID. So the collaboration time period is really popping right now. We've had an opportunity to collaborate with so many different musicians, and we got projects coming out left to right. We have two projects that are actually available now. One happened to be written by Max Bronstein, guitar player, and we were just trying to make sure that we could come up with a different sound. And we, as the Brass-A-Holics, we encourage and we engage the musicians to bring music. Like, if you got something, you know, we'll play it. You just teach the band how you want to do it, and that's what we do. And he came up with a tune, he found somebody to sing it, and we dropped that one. Came out probably last month. The name of that one was Wake Me Up, featuring an up-and-coming artist right here from New Orleans, Louisiana, Latrine Yump. Man, it brings me back, because I'm a little older than some of the guys. It's just got such an 80s vibe. And one of the things that, you know, it just, knowing where we come from, one of the obstacles are just that it's hard for mainstream to accept brass instruments as like a Bruno Mars, Katy Perry type band. But, you know, our perception is we feel what we're doing is worthy of mainstream. We just fighting that battle to get the world to appreciate it the same way. And the second project that we have coming up is called Rockin' in My Pocket. It's actually a tune that I wrote, inspired by just going out on the city, going out in town, having a great night. One of those nights when you feel like, man, I'm about whatever, you know, I'm just gonna have a good time. The name of it is Rockin' in My Pocket. It has no sexual connotations to it whatsoever. It's just that you have the keys in your pocket to a wonderful night. Like, I'm gonna splurge, I'm gonna have a good time, I'm gonna spend some money, I'm gonna hit the city, I'm going everywhere it just don't even matter. I got a rocket in my pocket and I'm ready to roll. So we just dropped that one and we loving the feedback that we getting from it. A little bit of New Orleans horns with that DC go-go vibe, and it's slow and it got that little feel right there where we got that crowd participation. We're just excited about the projects that we have coming out.
Also, tell people, who all do you have, featured on these projects?
Okay, the first project that actually dropped with the sequence that we have coming out, being that we're not really traveling and we don't have, a lot of our dates have just been canceled, and we just in that position like the rest of musicians where you just don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but you have to continue to live and be creative and do it, and do whatever you can do to just, because right now it's so hard for me to play the way that we used to play. Man, we used to play for like 3 hours straight. So I'm just sitting at home, you can't stream for 3 hours straight and play with that type of intensity. So the creative energy starts to kick in. So we have a sequence of music that we're going to release. And we were getting ready to come out with an album. So we said, why not release them single by single, keep the people involved, build a little bit of that fan base, and just make sure that we get the most out of what we have. So the first project that we actually released is featuring an artist, Latranium, and we're excited about that. The second project that we released is one of them just from the band. That's just featured from us. The third project is we got a collaboration with a good friend of mine, I Am the Music, Jarlin Pink. We got a local rapper that we're going to have on is G Girk. The next one we got a man out of this dude here, out of Atlanta, Big Rec, and that's just like the first 5 that's coming out right here. And we still reaching out to other artists as we finish that mixing and that mastering process. It's so much material we have coming out because it's time to get it out right now. It's really time to make sure that we keep up with everybody else and that we don't sit back and do nothing, that we're actually doing things, we're keeping our fans engaged, and we're having fun doing it. So these projects that we're getting ready to release, we're going to probably keep them coming out monthly, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep them popping, man.
Okay. So the Brass-A-Holics. So tell the people, how many members do y'all have?
Right now we have 8 members. We have a lead guitar, trombone, trumpet, saxophone, percussionist, bass guitar, and a drummer.
Okay. So being in the band, for the people who probably never been to New Orleans and everything.
All right.
So how important is, I got one better. How important is one brass band to New Orleans?
Oh man, brass band music to New Orleans is so important. Whereas if you look at it from the perspective of life-moving events, when you're born, you could probably have a brass band at your house with everybody celebrating. When you leave this place, when it's time for you to get called back to the essence, you will have a brass band at that occasion. Also, when it's time for you to get married, another one of the most important days of your life, you pick the person that you're going to share your life with, we're going to have a brass band at that event. So pretty much our culture is formed around every event that is important in your life. You have a brass band here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Like when I get ready to leave this place, whenever I go, all my friends, everybody that I've played with musically, they're gonna be at the church ready to rock and do what they gotta do. They're gonna hit for me. And anytime that something happens and a fellow friend or family member leaves here unexpectedly, or when they called up, I'm at that church ready to hit. So it's one of those things that is in us, it's our culture, it's important. And I don't know if everybody understands it or really looks at it from that perspective. No matter what goes on, you have a band here in New Orleans. If the Saints win a Super Bowl, what's the first thing we're gonna do? We're going to the streets, you gotta have a second line. If we like the president that we have, I am not the one, if something coming up and, the minute Obama got elected, most people took their horns out, just went to the street. It's one of those things where it's a celebratory thing here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Our community, our culture is based upon music, and most of it is like brass band music.
Okay. So, growing up in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Who was the band that you looked up to?
The band that I looked up to, I just got to keep it real. The band that I looked up to, it was like Rebirth Brass Band. I heard them on the radio, and that's really what changed everything. It was a time period in which you can hear rebirth and rotation with mainstream artists, and that changed the mind of a young kid to actually believe I could listen to the radio, I could hear something like Michael Jackson's song, then rebirth. It was at a time and period in which that music was unheard of. I heard Do What You Want on the radio. I'm like, what in the world? Then I fell in love with that sound. And as that progressed, I heard another band, which were the Soul Rebels Brass Band. I fell in love with how they were doing things and making the music become their own. It was a little fresher. It just was a difference. And those two bands, along with the marching band in our city, high school, college, it made a difference in my life as a kid, and it's something that I wanted to do. And so having an opportunity to get my own band, I wanted to do a little bit of everything. I wanted to actually break that barrier and that boundary of like, it has to remain here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Because as a musician, when we playing music in the marching band, when we playing music with the brass band, we may take a cover or play a song that's a pop song, mainstream, and our perception of it is we're making it our own. But we still don't understand, like, okay, why can't it be recognized that way? So I believe all musicians in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, our strive and our goal is to make sure that we're recognized the same way that other music, other genres, other artists are recognized worldwide as popular artists. And that's what we're striving to do. And we encourage the rest of our brothers and sisters to stay on that path. And I think that one day we will be recognized as instrumentalists, as mainstream pop artists.
Okay. So tell the people how long has your band been established?
We started this thing in 2010, you know. A good friend of mine.
10 years rolling.
Yeah, 10 years rolling. Like we came from another band. I was actually playing with the Soul Rebels at that time. And Tannen and I got together, Tannen Williams got together, and we formed the Brass-A-Holics along with some other people. We've changed members throughout the years. You know, things happen. You know, it happens in music. You develop a new sound. You develop a new feeling, and you experiment with some things. So now where we are right now. When we first started, we had a tuba. And our sound just changed a little bit after our first project, and we went completely electric as far as the back row. And it's a great sound. We appreciate the way we sound now. We appreciate the vibe that we have, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make music. We don't consider it New Orleans music. We don't consider it brass band music. It's music just to us, just like it is to other people. Okay.
So I'm telling people, what you have coming up next, for as music, merch, more streams, live performance.
Yeah, that merch. You can hit us up on Brass-A-Holics.com. We got all types of merch for sale. You know, you see them bees. I was supposed to, we got t-shirts, we got hats. We have authentic medallions that we give out at shows and festivals to make sure that you can keep up with us from a fan base perspective. We also have tunes that coming out strictly for sports. We have some stadium rockers coming out. We want you guys to stay posted for that. We got a tune that's going to Nickelodeon, and it's actually going to be one of those things where the kids can get involved. You guys will start seeing the TikTok challenges come your way, but stay posted for that. We got a lot coming up, man. So much, and the excitement is you don't know where it's coming from because it's 8 of us creating. Whenever you get the call or the email or the text, like, I got this, listen to it. The other day, my cousin, Prime, hit me up. He's like, man, check this out. So you never know where the music coming from. You never know when it's coming. But when it hit you, you know, you pick up whatever you got and you start creating with that.
Okay. And also, last but not least, tell everybody, where can they find y'all on social media and also other music platforms? Okay.
Brass-A-Holics, you can check us out on Facebook at Brass-A-Holics, Instagram at Brass-A-Holics. You can check us out on any streaming platform. We have a catalog of music that I know everybody will probably appreciate, starting from our first CD to where we at right now with the singles that we're releasing. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel at Brass-A-Holics, BRASS-A-HOLICS. And the phrase that pays is feeling that band. What they call it, word on the street, Brass-A-Holics. And we here chilling with Nolazine TV.
Nolazine, make them scream.